I'm Jeevan, the musical director here for Center of Spiritual Living, and I feel so blessed to be a part of this ohana, this community, and I'm so grateful for today. What a beautiful outflow of love, coming in and coming out of everybody here, and so grateful to have Reverend Rita and Reverend Patrick here. We're very blessed. They brought us together. They're bringing this big family together in a beautiful way. So, and blessing the whole planet while doing so. So I want to say thank you. Mahalo.
Words are short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. So in this moment, I just want us to take this time to know that we've come here together for one reason and one reason only, and that is to celebrate our divine essence, celebrate our true identity. We have come together as a community, and I know that this time together is spent in love, in passion, and truly, truly in giving and receiving. So, I say let it begin, let it begin. Mr. Gathering. Welcome everyone. I am Reverend Patrick, and this is Reverend Rita.
Aloha everyone.
Aloha. So it's one of those kind of days we used to call back home, whatever home that would be. We would call it, remember in school days, we were like, it's a little foggy out, and now it's time to just stay in bed. Well, I'd like to congratulate all of you.
Including us.
Including us for not doing that. No, we're usually up at the crack of dawn. This is a great day for us. We cannot wait to get here. So thank you for sharing your consciousness with us. In case you forget, I'm sure you haven't, but we're here to just let you know who you truly are. Shall we? You are magnificent. You're welcome.
Yes, it's the truth.
And because you're magnificent, it would only make sense that we are magnificent. So shall we? I am magnificent. How's that feel? Good, right? Good way to start the day.
So we are here to celebrate the fact and the truth that we are divine expressions of the one power, the one light, the one love, God, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. That's what we are. And we are unique and beautiful and magnificent, as we said, and we know also that our minds are powerful. So what we want to always make sure is that we use our minds consciously as much as possible, hopefully all the time, for our highest good and the highest good of this planet. So those are really the two tenets of the science of mind and spirit. So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Kaua'i.
Here.
Yep.
So welcome. Shall we get started with
Yes.
a little music with our wonderful, talented, beautiful, handsome Jiva.
Here and now, I am surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is mine? All of it. And how much of it may I have to use? As much of it as I can embody. I embody more of this infinite good now than I ever have before. I am this infinite good. So if you want to close your eyes, you can. Just take a deep breath and just settle in as I know this truth. And the truth is that there is only one thing happening at all times, and it is this infinite good, this life force, this thing itself, which is everything. It is light, it is love, it is power, it is joy, beauty, it is wisdom, it is everything, and it is what we are. I know that. I know that we express as this one thing, this one glorious, glorious thing. It is everything that we are. There is not a part of us that is not this. We are glorious and powerful and filled with light and love. That is our true identity, our true nature. And so it is from this place of this knowing, that I speak my word. And I know right here and right now that our lives are blessed in every moment. No matter what our experience, God is expressing perfectly in this moment and every moment. Expressing in our bodies, in our health. Expressing perfectly in our financial affairs and all of our work and all of those great things that we do. No matter what is happening right now, God is expressing, and I know in this moment that we can expand our knowing of this presence, of this power, of this light, of this love, and therefore expand our experience. It is working through us, and we are aware. I know it, I claim it. And I know that love is present here in every part of our life, and our relationships are glorious. And so we allow that love to come through that, the love of ourselves that blesses the world and blesses those we come in contact with and blesses this planet in every moment. So I know all is good, this infinite good that we are embodying, that we embody even more of it now than we ever have before as we open our mind to the awareness of who we truly are and what our true nature is, which is magnificent. I claim this, I allow this, I accept this, and I give gratitude for it and for each person in this room and beyond, all of creation, expressing perfectly as this divine presence. And with this gratitude in my heart, I simply release this word. I release it into law, and I know that the law has it now. Therefore, it is expressed perfectly for each of us, exactly as we require. Knowing this to be the truth, I simply let it be so, as we say together. And so it is. Thank you. Okay, so with that being said, I would like to turn the time over for Jeevan to treat us to some of his beautiful music.
Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Oh, Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, so free, like the flowers and the bees, like the bird in the tree, like the dolphins in the sea. I wanna fly so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I'm gonna lay down and fly. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, so free, like the being that I see, not to rise and not to fall, being one and loving all. There's no high and there's no low, there is nowhere that I should go, just inside a little star telling me be who you are. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Sing with me. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place I belong. Pachamama, coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, so free, like the flowers and the bee, like the birds in the trees, like the dolphins in the seas. Want to fly so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I'm going to lay down and fly. Oh, Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, be me, like the being that I see, not to rise and not to fall, being one and loving all. There's no high, there's no low, there is nowhere I need to go, just inside a little star telling me be who you are. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place I belong. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place I belong. Pachamama, I'm coming home to the place I belong. Pachamama, to the place
truth is we're already home. We're just waking up to the fact that we are. And I know that's what we come here every Sunday to remember, that we're already home. Because that home is that place within us that knows who we are. So this past month, and we're going to extend it into February because we missed a week because of the installation, all over the Science of Mind churches all over the world, centers, they go over the first 4 chapters of the textbook at the beginning of the year and give their talks based on them, so that people get to be familiar with what we truly believe. Because if you read the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook, you pretty much get everything else in the textbook. And then he just repeats himself after that. And it's all good repeating, but I would always tell my students and myself when I was studying for tests, just read the first 4 chapters, all the answers are in there. So if you ever end up in a Science of Mind test, just know that. So anyway, so this week's chapter is called What It Does, meaning what God does through us. And the first week we talked about what God was, which we call it the thing itself, it, because we don't think of God as a being up on a cloud or a man or a woman. God is everything. God is a presence that resides within us. And then the second week we talked about the way it works, which is it works through us. And that's the way it works. It can work no other way but through us. We cannot beseech God and ask it to do things for us, because it can only do what we can encompass within us, through us. So what it does, this is the interesting part, what it does is it fills the mold that we create. It fills the mold that we create with our minds. So whatever's going on in our life, we've created the mold, and Spirit is filling it. In the textbook it says, should all the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we should yet receive only that which we are ready to understand. Life becomes to us the particular thing we need when we believe that it becomes to us that particular thing. So this mold that we're creating, we're the ones that are creating the mold, nobody else, is what it fills. And we're doing that through our belief. And I just want to use the example of this center because it's a really good example and we were all involved in it, which was, people say they called us here. And I know Terry talked about that last week. And you did. You called us here. You might not have been calling Patrick and Rita, but you were calling for something that you wanted here on the island of Kauai, something that you wanted within yourselves. And we were calling to the island of Kauai, and as we were creating this mold for this idea, and you were creating a mold, and then Spirit came and filled the mold. We didn't fill it. The law filled it. This is where we get kind of mixed up with it, and why it becomes so hard for us, I think. Ernest Holmes wrote, we must be careful not to think that because we made the mold, we must create the substance. It's like it's already here. This is the part that if you can just put your mind around it, it's already here, and all we're doing is calling it to us through us. So we don't have to create the thing. It's already been created. We're just opening our minds and expanding it by creating this mold in our minds. So to put it simply, I think the reason sometimes things don't show up the way we want them to show up is because we think we're doing it. Like if I stare at my hand, which I've done several times this week, and go, get better, get better, get better, thinking that I'm making it better, I'm holding up the whole process instead of just releasing it over to the law, knowing that it's already better, and just living from that place. And then and as soon as it's ready, or as soon as my mind has reached the tipping, I call it the tipping point, because there's a lot of race consciousness involved in this. A lot of race consciousness that says it takes a certain amount of time, and although I'm a minister, I'm still subject to all that stuff. So there's a lot of race consciousness involved in things like sickness and illness and stuff like that. So, but as soon as my mind reaches the tipping point of knowing that it's all better already, then it's all better. I know I've had instantaneous healings in my life in areas where you wouldn't think that it could, but it was a moment that it just clicked in. Now, Why doesn't it happen? So I think I'm doing it. That's one reason. We think we're doing it. We have to do something to make it happen instead of just speaking our word and creating the mold. We also, we think it's personal. Like, it's not personal. It doesn't care. This law doesn't care who we are as far as like what we did or what we didn't do, or whether we fell down, or whether we're bad, or what. It doesn't care about that. It just listens to what our prevalent thought is and what our prevalent thing that we repeat to ourselves over and over. It's listening to that. Whatever the thing that has the most passion to it, it's just picking up on that. So it's not a personal thing. We don't have to feel like we have to be like these really, I mean, we should, of course we're good people. We are. We're magnificent. We're wonderful people. There's nothing that we could ever do that would make us unmagnificent. But it doesn't matter if a little perfect little nun in a convent, or this hideous criminal, if you want to call him that, I don't like that word, but somebody that we think or perceive as that plants a rose, the same rose is still going to come up because it's impersonal. That's what it is. The law is impersonal. So we just have to get out of our minds that there's something that we have to do better in order for it to happen. And then I think sometimes we limit it by past experience. Like, we tell ourselves maybe that it happened that way last time, or it happened that way for so-and-so, so therefore it happens this way. I mean, I cannot tell you. Sympathy, guys, is the worst thing we could ever do to somebody. Because when you tell somebody, oh, that's what happened to me, and that's the way it went, and I had somebody do that to me with something. I think it was, I had a problem with my eye at one time, and they went through, really reiterated to me the whole thing about what happened to their eye and how it went, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't matter what happened to somebody else. It doesn't matter how it happened for somebody else. It only matters what's happening right here and right now for you. So whatever it is in your life, it could be anything. It could be to do with your finances, your health, it could be anything. Just always know it's in the present moment, and it doesn't matter what happened in the past. We have this saying in a statement of truth in science of mind that says, principles not bound by precedent. Has anybody ever heard of that? Probably my 100 students have. So principle meaning God, this expression of life, this law, that's all that we are, is not bound by anything in the past. That's what's so great about this. We get to have a new thought every moment. It doesn't matter what we did in the past. We don't have to, we're the only probably species that punishes ourselves over and over and over. We don't have to do that. We just have to be in the present. I mean, yeah, okay, if you have to go apologize for something to somebody, that's fine. But that doesn't limit you. The past does not limit you by what you can do now, by just turning your thought right here and right now in this present moment. So one of the biggest things I had to get over with my hand was going back to the incident and trying to change it. Trying to say it didn't happen, or that, what if I had just taken a walking stick with me, and why was I so, these things do not heal us. They do not heal us. Okay, love is what heals us. And then the other thing is, I think we're not persistent enough. I think when something doesn't show up right away, we give up. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody. Don't forget, I'm talking from my own personal experience here, but if it resonates to you, that's great. I think sometimes we do a treatment, spiritual mind treatment, and that's our form of affirmative prayer, or we state, or however we pray, and we say we want this. And then when it doesn't show up, we think that something went wrong, or it's not going to show up, or whatever. So we're not persistent. So what happens is we take a step forward, and that's great, and then it doesn't show up, and then we start going backward again into our old way of being, instead of sticking to it and being persistent. And when I say persistent, I don't mean doing more, I mean just being persistent in knowing the truth, being persistent in loving ourselves, being persistent in knowing that we're good, being persistent in knowing that the universe is a good and beautiful, perfect thing that is orderly and not chaotic, and knows and answers yes, and generates itself forward. It doesn't go backwards. It's just always rejuvenating and regenerating and giving life to everything. So it's like, I read this thing by Maston Kipp this morning. It was so good, because he said, my mind just went blank because I got to look at it now. I can't remember what it was. Oh, he said, don't ask, why did this happen to me? sometimes when something happens, we go, well, why did this happen to me? Okay, now ask what the lesson is. What is the lesson? I think that is so powerful, and I have been asking myself that, and I still have a lot to learn about taking care of myself. I actually had a massage yesterday, and I haven't had a massage. When was last time?
I don't remember. I've been there.
I know. It's not something that I would ever give myself. And Patrick was leaving the house so I could have this massage, and he's like, wow. He said, I just can't even believe you're doing this for yourself. I was like, wow, I did it for myself, and just because of this. So I learned more self-love through this experience. So that's why I keep asking myself, what is there to learn from this? What is the lesson? And when I've learned the lesson, then I won't need it anymore. I think I said that last week. So this mold is just our idea, and if we don't particularly like what's showing up, we just have to change the mold, change the idea, and make a new mold. It's going to fill whatever mold we make. And there's no two ways about it. It does, and I like to say, if you want to know what mold you're thinking about, just look at your life. And then just go, wow, that's really amazing. I'm so powerful. That's what I did. And now I can create something new. And I know, like I said at the beginning, we're already home. And we're just waking up to the fact of who we are and how powerful we are. And I know that that's what this center is about, is knowing that. And I just want to close with this one quote, because the one thing that does keep it from us sometimes is our doubt. When we say, oh, treat until you demonstrate, we do our affirmative prayer until we demonstrate. But we don't treat necessarily for the same thing. We treat for whatever's coming up. And usually it's doubt or fear. So Ernest Holmes has this statement in the next book. And I just keep it in your mind if you ever get doubtful or fearful. He says, doubt, where did you come from? Who is your father? You have no place in my mind. I know that the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. So when these things of doubt, they have no father, only the birth, father, mother, whatever you want to call it, that we give it. So I say, as Patrick said before, just look at it and go, boo. And just know who we are in every single solitary moment. Take care of ourselves, nurture ourselves, love ourselves through everything. Forget the past and just stay right here and right now, knowing that we can and be and do and have anything that we want, or anything that we can become in that, creating that mold for it. So I know today that we're creating a bigger mold for our lives in every moment, no matter what it is or what we're looking at, from right where we are, nowhere else. So I love you, thank you, and I'm turning the time over to Patrick. Blessings, namaste.
Well, after last week of informing all of you, if you were here, that I was here at the time of creation, I'm not sure what more I would be able to say after that bold statement. But as you know by now, there's always something more for me to say. Rita, thank you so much for your honesty, and it does take honesty when you can boldly look at something that's happening in your own life and be the examples, because that's really all my purpose is in my life, is to be the example of what I talk about or what I believe. And if that works for you, that's beautiful, and if it doesn't, that's beautiful as well. Easy does it. I like that. Easy does it. Usually people do that, right, if you're lifting something that's very valuable. Easy does it. Easy does it. Don't get too crazy on us. Don't show your man stuff. All of my did. Did I just say man stuff? But you know, when you have no filters, what happens? No. This week was very, very, very special. We had our projects for our Science of Mind 100 class, and oh my gosh, there was just so much creativity and so much love in this moment of, and all the assignment was is that you had to bring something that demonstrated you know, what you got out of the 16 weeks. And 16 weeks is a lot of commitment here, you know. So I was so thrilled at all of them. And one of our wonderful students, Carla, who I asked permission to use some of her things that she gave in something she wrote, and also explained this journey for herself. And a story that she told that I just resonated to so much was from Mark Nepo's book, The Book of Awakening. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It was semi-new to me. And she told a story in her paper about this little story called Life in the Tank. And I just loved it because it just told a simple story of, you know, when you have goldfish or you have your fish in a bowl, you have to put them somewhere else when you clean the bowl, right? So what he did was he took the fish and he put them in the bathtub while he went to clean the bowl. So that's simple enough, right? But what he found is when he went back to retrieve them, is that they were in this big old tub, but they were swimming in the same little area that they were in the bowl. I thought, as he did as well. Where and how big is our fish tank? And that was the whole metaphor that Carla was explaining in her paper, and what he was saying about that is that here we are, and I got very excited, and you know what happens when I get excited. I'm like, Here's the thing. I really thought about that. Here these wonderful little fish are given freedom to swim in the big sea of the bathtub. And they still go around and stay in their little circle because they are used to it. And they don't know that there's this other big sea that they can live in. And I really thought about us, me, and I thought to myself, where am I still swimming in a circle where I am really in reality, and we know it, I was there at creation, and so were you, that I'm swimming in a sea of infinite intelligence. That this incredible thing called life is that big. And sometimes I still stay in my own little safe place. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements calls it domestication. A little harsh, but nevertheless, there's truth in that. And Rita was talking earlier about the mold. And isn't the mold for these fish, that little bowl, that's their mold? That's what they know. That's what they're comfortable in. And sometimes people give us our mold. I've been given many molds in my lifetime. And most of them I've had to get through and past. Some of my molds were good, that I took with me and said, yeah, I want more of that. Does this make sense? Yeah. Yeah, you know, I say to myself, when I thought of those fish, it's not that we're looking for a bigger tank, a bigger house, a bigger this, even though that's all fantastic too. And here's the other thing. Some people like a small fish bowl. I've met them. They're really, really happy just being where they are. And this isn't about to say, oh, you need more, you need to get more, you need to do more. No, quite the contrary. We need to be more. It's not getting more things, even though I'm all for the big house. I love them. They're fun. You get to sleep in different rooms if you want to. My God, and I mean my God that lives within, right? It's infinite intelligence, infinite, you know, why would I ever for a moment say, that's okay, I'll just take the little corner in the tub? No. Carla also, I had to ask her to be able to quote the ending of her paper, and then I also, just to be honest with you, wrote her on an email, if you don't give me permission, I will paraphrase and call it my own. So just to let you know that I am very honest about that, but Carla was more than happy to give me permission. Yeah, see? Honesty is the only way, man. That way you never have to worry about anything coming back to you. So, This is what she says about being a science of mind student. I just got a little emotional there because I'm so proud of this class. I am so proud. As science of mind students, we are invited to break out of the tank and never look back. We are invited to end the separation between God and ourselves and luxuriate in an entire world of gods. End the separation. Remember who you are. That is from Carla Janae. So very nice. So I want to touch on this one area of never looking back. Robert Redford, the great mystic as well as Carla, he said that he never looks back. He moves straight forward, and sometimes, when I first heard it, I thought, well, that's kind of cool. You got a lot of people you should appreciate from your career and all of this stuff. So I got really into the world of form, but now I get it about not looking back. The only time to look back is if you're going to pull something to use in the present. I want to say that again. The only time to look back is if you're going to use something to use in your present moment. Because I don't know about you, but I have spent time looking back and sometimes do not feel adequate at where I am in the present because I have based myself on something, as Rita was talking about, something that we did in our past. And I invite us now, as I always do, to not release the past, because you're never going to really get used to it. Always, they call them triggers, they call them whatever you want. They're always popping up, right? Just as you're about ready to do something that, this, excuse me, do you remember when you screwed up the last time? I'm just telling you, probably nobody has those voices in this room, but I've had a few of them. And what they do, and what's always makes me curious, why do the voices not say this? Hey, Patrick, go for it, man. I mean, look at all the times you've succeeded in your life. You are one walking success, magnificent being. Well, it does, but not as much as some of the other stuff that comes up. Programming, domestication, we're swimming in a goldfish bowl when we don't have to. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a bowl. We have nothing but infinite intelligence working through us as us. That's what it does. So we get to create the mold of our choice. And I call the mold the idea, the concept, and allow that to just, what a relief, isn't it? Think about it. We don't have to do anything anymore about that. We don't have to push anymore. We don't have to say, I want it, and force it anymore. We can relax and just swim. I like that. I just swim. So I leave you with that. Now, not Jesus like Jesus, but Jesus had this method, and I wanted to share this with you. You guys, I can't help myself. It happens. Now, and since we get to blame everything on spirit, it just flows through me. So if you really want to know where that comes from, that's spirit. So anyway, back to Jesus. I read this for our class a couple of times about, this is Jesus' approach. We have 5 steps in Science of Mind, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your affirmative treatment. But Jesus had another approach, and it seems so simple. And who knows, maybe Rita and I might just change the whole thing. This is how it is. Jesus' method of approach during his entire ministry was to give thanks and then command the law to work. This is the correct manner of approach to the Spirit and the law, but they are all one. When Jesus healed people, I love this, when Jesus healed people and told them to get up and walk, he did not pray that they might be able to get up and walk. He exercised his authority, which seemed to result with his communion with the Spirit, and undoubtedly it was. So from learning from Master Jesus here, this is what I believe that he could grasp. And that all of us, we were talking the other day, someone said in the book that Jesus was the only instant healer, pretty much the great example, the only example. And I don't agree with that. They just haven't been on YouTube. Trust me, there are people that know this stuff. We just haven't interviewed them. And it's the truth, and that's who we are. We, at any moment, not like, I'm going to say 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, and whew, where is it? No. He had one thing. He said, I'll tell you what, I have the authority because of who and what I am. And I have communion with life itself. And I swim in a sea of infinite intelligence. Shoulders back, I bet, too. And he said, this is what I know. I know that anything that comes from the Word, my Word, which is the law itself, is made manifest. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I've got other things to do. I'll be waiting for that. Not like we say it, right? And do the mold and then... I have to admit, I have to tell you something. I did a 48-hour, we had read this book, E Square or something. So Rita and I were reading it. And it said, 48 hours, claim exactly what you want, one of those. Claim what you want. I'm not really putting it down, but so 48 hours at 4:30 yesterday. I went and I said, 4:30. So maybe I should go back to the beginning of this. And I remember that first moment of going, you know, the child inside saying, oh, wow, does this stuff work? No, it didn't work because I was nudging it for the 48 hours previous, looking around every corner for it to appear. This is what I'm saying. The mold has been set. Thank you very much. It is done. It is done as we believe. And it can't get any more simple than that. I love you. I can never, ever say that enough. Because I know that one day as I transition from this beautiful being, I will never look back and say that I did not say I love you enough. Namaste.
Singing peace and love, dancing in the wind, laughing through our tears, feeling the silence deep within our soul, deep within our soul. Love, singing peace and love, dancing in the wind, laughing through our tears, feeling the silence deep within our soul, deep within our soul. Love, singing peace and love, dancing in the wind, laughing through our tears, feeling the silence deep within our soul, deep within our soul.
So here's what I know. This has been a magnificent day, a magnificent service, and I give thanks for it. I give thanks for the Spirit that has showed up here through each and every one of us and for all that has been shared. And I know that what has been shared here just expands our lives, expands our bowl, expands our consciousness as we go forth from here and use it and work with it and love ourselves even more than we've ever loved ourselves before. I know this is the truth. I claim it. I bless this service and give thanks for everyone. And I just simply release my word into law, knowing it's done as we say together, and so it is.